What's going on YouTube? AJTBLS here, coming to you for episode 3. We are currently down to the Nano, and we're hoping that we might be able to turn our luck around in this episode. In the previous episode, we shown that we had the ability to keep Trap Dust Shoot in. You know, it is very important to keep in mind that this is a very long series. The mind games of, hey, like maybe AJT keeps and shoots, it is very important perhaps in the future because it requires playing around the card limit in your hand, which would require you actively committing more monsters or committing more spells and traps to the board, both of which can, have negative repercussions, of course, for overextending. Primarily via Heavy Storm, BLS, or Tribe Infecting Virus, Sork, etc. Those big power cards that can punish overcommitments in Go format. And let's hope that our luck turns around. We have been, I would like to say, outplayed so far by the Nano, and he's shown that while he may have been outdrawing us, it's still important to realize that, he's playing better than us right now, and we got to tip our cap to him for that. If you have missed anything, be sure to check out episode 1, where I go over the rules of the video, and episode 2, where the previous session occurred. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I go first in this one, and let's see what we got. So we have a very beautiful hand, but a poor 6-card draw. But, beggars can't be choosers. Let's go ahead and pitch the Thunder Dragon. Let's use the Upstart. Unfortunate draw. It's never fun to draw another Upstart from Upstart because of just the life point disparity. We are thinning our deck, so let's go ahead and rifle that. And we got to activate Graceful Charity now, of course. And the pitches are pretty clear, although, there is a world where it's like, hey, maybe I want to get my light and dark in a graveyard, but you kind of just got to get rid of these when you get a chance. And these are 2 good flip monsters here. Drawing Trap Dust Shoot is very nice, and now it's kind of a decision between setting the Spy or the Dekoichi. Could go either way. We are about to see his hand. We're actually kind of fine with the Spy being Nobleman, just because it kind of means our Dekoichi will be okay, and we are about to see his hand, so either or is fine. We choose to go to the Dekoichi route. And of course, we Trap Dust Shoot. He does draw a 6th card Nobleman. In this spot, we send a Thunder Dragon to deny him lights, which are hard to come by. And we don't really care about Tribe, as we have like a Tsukiyomi to run it over. Plus, we have a Nobleman in Tsukiyomi. So, worst case scenario, what's the worst that can happen? He upstarts, and now he's just kind of drawing into his deck. We banish our Dekoichis, and the Nano is too smart to poke for 1600, of course, and he just sets the lot. We know he has MST, Heavy, and a Tribe in his possession. We can also safely assume that he has a Solemn Judgment set because we aren't playing against a Scrub here, we are playing against the Nano, and he would never just give us a Heavy for, +3. And in this spot, because we see in a Nobleman gone, and we know he has Tribe in hand, and we already have lights in the graveyard, this is a pretty clear play of setting the Faith and passing. I actually would not want to set this to get gobbled up by MST because of the value that it has with the Sook. So he top decks Exiled Force, which is unfortunate for us, but it's okay. And we top deck Pot. Things are rolling. We finally got something going our way. If you're the Nano here, what do you do with this Pot? I don't think you can Solemn it if you're the Nano because you only have 1 Solemn. And I promise you that if I had Storm in my hand, I wouldn't have just fired it because I expect him to have a Solemn. Although it is tempting to have like Faith in the graveyard to get back Storm, I still wouldn't risk that he has more than 1 Solemn, so I don't really want to waste it. I want to waste it for like a sequence. In this case scenario, paying 5,000 life, and leaving yourself open to like if I had Heavy Storm in my hand, probably not the best option. So I would let this go through. And the Nano disagrees, paying 5,000. So if I did have Storm here, it probably would just be game over, but fortunate for him, I do not. And again, we just set our flip monster and pass. Nano sets a card and passes, and we should be flipping this up, putting it in attack mode and punching with both. And let's see what we decide in main phase 2, because if you recall in episode 1, we kind of went to check on the Nano to see what type of player, what he'll do with his Torrent. He doesn't Torrent on Gravekeeper Spy special summon. He just eats the damage, right? If we summon our Sook, which is our only clean answer to Tribe other than the Saku, but the Saku's probably going to get gobbled up to MST, we're going to give him a huge plus. So I pray that we do not summon the Sook here. Let's see if we learn from a mistake, and we do set the Saku, and it gets MST'd. Normally, I would set the Nobleman so it gets gobbled up by that MST there, but again, the Tsukiyomi and Nobleman lock is very nice. The Nano draws into Tribe, then he jars, and he hits Rhoda. chooses not to go the Rhoda Dawn route, just pitches for the tribe and sets his Rhoda. We draw Mirror Force. This is a clear play, attack it, and set Mirror. Pass. The Nano draws Breaker, which is very unfortunate for us, and he attacks us. Alright, so we draw Wing Blast. This is an interesting spot. You summon Suki and Nobleman, and I don't think you do, because later you can just Nobleman a Chaos Monster, or a bigger threat than just a Breaker, and we are doing okay on life. I think you just summon the Suk and try to run it over, and we also need a card to pitch for Wing Blast, if it comes down to it, and we pass. He now wrote us for Dawn after top decking an active BLS. This is a tough spot, right? Because, okay, you actually know that Heavy's set, and you don't know about the other card, right? You can Wing Blast and put the Dawn on top of the deck, and then set the Suki next turn to, like, block a Dawn attack. But the problem is that if he has another answer to run over your Suki, now you just look like a fool, right? The more I think about it, I think that you do Wing Blast this, and worst case scenario, you set the Suki on your turn. So let's see if I decide what I decide to do, because we can't really afford to take a 33% chance of losing our meal ticket. And okay, you know, it's a moot point. We just top deck literally our best card, and this is game over. Storm and then BLS for the win. We are staying away from the Jinzo package. I believe we still bring in Calm. We go that like the aggressive route. We have a decent hand. The Nano decides to set Reaper, set Shoot, and set Mirror, holding on to his Charity. He dust shoots us, and he sends the Thunder Dragon. So now we're in a weird spot. It's like he knows that we have Spy. In our perspective, we are thinking, okay, he at minimum has a way to deal with a face down, whether it is, you know, Exiled Force, or it is a Nobleman, or a Regeki Break possibly. Let's see what we decide to do. I actually think summoning and attacking is decent. I don't think that he would set Dawn. It's possible he would, but, you know, if we remember in previous videos, he has done this type of stuff where he's just like set a naked tribe infecting virus. I think if we are going to do the attack play, we have to MST. We decide to MST, and we have noticed that he's been siding out Jars a lot, so this isn't the worst play. And then you summon, and we're going to try the play, and it turns out it's the Reaper. So, yeah, the Reaper is back, and then, yes, you set Book, of course, and then he summons Sangan. He knows all of our cards. This is an easy Book of Moon on your Spy. Don't want to give him what he's looking for, and we get our effect. When he does this, it also says a lot about his hand. It says that he needs this in the graveyard for something. What could that possibly be? That could be Graceful Charity or Regeki Break. Now that's running through our head, and that's what we think this card is. So we draw Serpent, no reason to set it, just set the Mirror and pass. He does rip Duo, which is fine. We kept the Serpent in hand, and we set our most important card. We draw a Thunder Dragon. So the Nano at this point realizes that I'm just literally never going to kill this Sangan. The only way that it's going to go to the graveyard is by him doing it, which would be like him Regeki breaking his own Sangan, which in this spot makes no sense, or exiling his own Sangan, which again makes no sense. So he correctly decides that, okay, we can Graceful Charity, from the Nano's perspective, we can Graceful Charity and draw 3 cards, and getting rid of this tomato that's literally doing nothing in this spot is fine. And what do you know? He finds a card that he could use. In this spot, he decides to summon an attack. I think that this play is fine. If I Mirror Force this, you're going to get back your Serpent, which is what you're looking for, and make me use a Battle Trap. In my spot, I obviously have to Mirror Force. Can't afford to lose one of these guys. And we draw Ring. Just set the Ring and pass. And he sets Serpent. Don't know if I agree with that, but we draw Wing Blast, easy set, and he tributes sets because he wants his Serpent back. That's why I kind of didn't agree with his play of, this, because it's like, I know you really want to, make some plays and make some pressure, but I don't really think that having an extra monster of a Thunder Dragon on the board instead of a Serpent is good, or it's like that important in this spot, especially when I'm on Wing Blast, because I can easily Wing Blast this and put it to the top, and you're going to dead draw. I draw Torrent, and I think that this is actually a decent play to tribute it off and try to run this over. It forces a response, and also if we don't like what happens to it, we could just put it to the top, and it also kind of forces his hand. So we do kill it, and he does top deck Sork. So hindsight's 2020. We would have prevented the inevitable top deck of Sork by a turn. We obviously don't know that, and this will go through. We draw Gorilla, and this is not the best draw. We do have a clean answer to Sork. being Ring. So we ring out the Sork, trying to bait out a Solemn if he has one. Let it go through. And we could Wing Blast the Reaper to put it to the top, but there's no point. And I think this is a good play as well because we do have a way to protect this. And setting the Torrent is also good. Hoping it actually gets gobbled up by MST or Regeki Break is smart. And the Gorilla is not doing anything active for us. We're trying to bait out a Nobleman or an Exiled. And then he tops Pot of Greed. So obviously not optimal for us. He does Nobleman, and he does go Tribe Prio, and there is no way in the world that we use this Wing Blast here. I think you just take both. Doesn't make sense. Like, we're going to lose a Thunder Dragon or a Serpent. Unfortunate, but we need to keep our Wing Blast here to, like, you know, if we hit BLS here, it's actually the straight-up game. So this was the right play to try to take out the back row. It wouldn't be game, depending on what we hit, because if a Knight Assailant, you just pitch and take this back, then would be able to attack for 27 and 12. It would not be game if he Regeki broke his own tribe, which is possible he would have, because he has this game so locked up in a commanding lead. But in this spot, I actually think you have to set the Knight Assailant, because if you were to pitch it to take back tribe, to take back Spy, it doesn't really do much. So I think that you do set that. And then he targets my back row, which is always nice. And we should be taking out the, not taking it out, but putting to the top the Tribe Infecting Virus, as the Reaper is not really doing much, against us. And he exiles it, and he puts his Reaper to defense. We do top deck BLS. This is a peculiar spot. So, what do you do here? It obviously was a phenomenal draw, but if we bring this out now, we know it dies certainly to Tribe. We have a Reaper in our hand to gamble. The only way that this play gets absolutely punished, the obvious way, is the Reaper hitting it. It also gets punished by Kaiku, which we don't know that he has, but he does have it in this case. I actually think passing is fine and just praying that nothing happens to us. Unfortunately, this is just going to seal the deal. There's not much we can hit. A Snatch Steal would be huge, but let's see. We have to see what we draw. We need Snatch Steal specifically. We hit Graceful Charity. Amazing. We hit some options, but again, this Kaiku is just showing how powerful it is. This game's a wrap. We just lose on our turn. And we know he has Tribe, so we have to bring this out. And he just shows us a Snatch. Okay, so we're going to game 3. Not the best opening hand. I do think that setting this is fine because we need to bait out Noblemans eventually. Let's make him use cards. And we set a Saku. And he just summons the Kaiku. Obviously, we have to answer that. Sets Regeki Break and shoot. He does shoots us. That takes back our Sork. We set a back row. While the Nano definitely does set Storm and stuff, I feel like that if he had Storm, he might have used it on the one back row. This is just now borderline a mistake, because if we set space here, it guarantees that at least we have a target for our Magician of Faith resolving. He definitely doesn't have Nobleman. He would have Nobleman this card. It doesn't make sense not to. So we should be setting space here as well as the Sakuretsu. We don't. And the Nano correctly identifies the play, and we get nothing from our Faith. So that was just a straight misplay. And we top deck Jinzo. So we did keep in the Jinzo, and we have to prio DP here because we can't let him see just how bad our hand is. We should set Saku and pass. He draws into shoot. We decide to just Sakuretsu Armor. We draw Upstart, and we rip a Duo. So nice. Things are coming back, even though we made a mistake, just because of how unlikely it was for him to have the Storm in that spot. He brings out Tomato. I think that you can just easily take this 14. And we draw Snatch. Not the best. Here, it's getting a little more dicey. I think this is now the time to maybe mirror. We decide to eat it. We draw Dekoichi, which is nice. He upstarts. We're good with that. A little bit of life. We're not okay with this Pot of Greed. And we're definitely not okay with the Delinquent. But it is what it is. And then he exiled. So now it's kind of like, shit, we're so against the wall here. This could go either way, because there's the argument of like, okay, you live a little longer if you don't take this life point damage. But the contrarian argument is that you actually don't live longer. You lose your Mirror Force, and now he can like summon and commit more to the board. So I personally would like to see me take this 14. Let's see what I decide to do. I decided to mirror, and we top deck like just the absolute saddest Zambira ever. Have to summon it and just pray it sticks. But the Nano just has he has a Sork. He had it. He does Banish, and he attacks us for 18. taking out our 2 darks, I presume. It goes light and dark. I guess you can do that, taking away the flip, and takes away the Jinzo, which is probably right, just in case I have call. And we set a back row, and this is just game over, as he has Solemn, and we dead drew a Tauren. A little bit of a recovery there. The Nano played very well, and we're going into another game. The Nano opens a pretty bad hand with 2 TDs. He does have a Dust Shoot and a Tribe for synergy. And he decides to take, I assume, Breaker. Here we pitch the TD. So what do you do here if you're myself? He willingly gave you, or not give you, he let you keep Spy and Magician, right? And he knows we have Trap Dust Shoot. This means to me that he has Nobleman in hand. He actually doesn't, but that's what he's kind of representing. Or he has like Exiled Force. If we did do the MST attack play here, it would work, but there are obvious flaws with it, primarily being that you just run into a Dawn that would actually get a plus, it'd be +3, because you would summon, he'd get the effect on that, then he would kill the Spy, and he would get the effect on that. So I think that the payoff is just not there. I think that you just have to set the Spy and set MST and set the Shoot. But we choose to space it. This also is decent because in case he has Regeki Break, this is okay too. And then here we should be sending back the BLS. And the Nano gets what he wants. He gets us good here. But you know what? Considering the situation, he also did open really poorly. We're at a pretty good spot. And we top deck pot agreed. Beautiful. Here, this is just set faith and pass. There is no way that we're giving up our snatch just for a tribe, especially after seeing his hand. He runs it over. This takes back pot, of course. And he sets Solemn. We hit Delinquent. We should be potting, baiting out a Solemn, which was so okay with us because this was the main prize. Taking away his hand. It does give him light dark. And then we should just set the Serpent just to block a little bit of trip damage. And he sets Mirror. Add this back. It should just be the same play. No reason to even pro set Storm here. And just he attacks and passes, and this is now we set the train. We're fine with this, and he is a greedy in this spot because 1,000 was guaranteed, but the 16 was not, and then we end up getting saving some life. Now it's just the same play, and let's see what the Nano decides to do. He does the same thing again. We draw a ring from that, and let's see here. I think this is just game. We will use Heavy Storm. We'll snatch his tribe, we'll pitch, we'll summon our tribe, attack, and in a draw phase, we will ring. So yeah, this is game. This is kind of a thing in GOATS. When 2 good players match up, even though I do firmly believe that game 1, he has a significant advantage, a lot of the outcomes are going to be determined on whether or not, you're hitting your good cards. There hasn't been a lot of mistakes from either player. I will say I've had more mistakes so far than the Nano, but again, they haven't been like catastrophic mistakes. He's seen us side Jinzo again, so I'm hoping that we fray away from doing that. We have a pretty powerful hand, as does the Nano. He pots into Grandmaster and Shoot. And he decides to set his Dust Shoot and set his Reaper. Here, I think that he should be sending back Sangan, so just in case he has to go Exiled Force, he knows he's hitting a quality monster. We have a cool opportunity here if we were to set the Berserk Gorilla, because he basically is telegraphing that he has Noblemen are exiled, and I would just bait it out. But the Gorilla, you can get a plus from it, and we have seen him, in the last set Tribe. But again, like, what monsters is he really setting that Gorilla can run over cleanly without it being, a Reaper or a Nudoria or a Tomato? We decided to go Reaper attack. I think that's okay, and then we can set the ring. At least it's always going to be quality if he heavies. He doesn't give it to us, as he knows we have ring. We do top deck Graceful Charity. We summon out a Breaker. He chooses to take out the Breaker, of course, because we would just we would just snipe out that card. And we go to Punch, and it takes Dawn. We should probably be setting Mirror here, hoping that he didn't set Storm, but he did. But it's okay, because we have at least a way to do this, and we were likely going to lose our hand. I thought he had Snatch Steal at the time, but he goes Exiled Force. This is him playing around Call of the Haunted. He doesn't want this coming back, and then he ends up getting our hand. So this was well played by the Nano. Alternatively, we've seen Dawn, which is kind of scary, but it's not for sure that he set heavy there, so that's why we set both. And even if it was storm, we'd just chain one. So Don does get a plus here, and he does rip a really good card. In this spot here, we do have to use the Charity, unfortunately. And the discards, I believe, are correct, as the Magician of Faith is a meal ticket to get back cards, and the Tribe is an answer to this. I don't think we should be using priority here. Go to attack. And what do you do if you hit a nano? So it's either take a -1 by battle, or take a -1, keep your Dawn, and lose your Geki break. I think that his play is correct, just in case I didn't have a way to answer the Dawn, but I do. And him not summoning the Sangan is correct, just in case I had Torrent. The extra 1,000 is not doing much for him, and this is obviously an easy Saku. This is a great spot to duo, as we didn't give him an opportunity to take out any set monsters, so therefore, unless this card's exactly exiled for us, which is not, our set is going to resolve. He top decks Thunder Dragon, which is not a good draw if you're the Nano. Just did it a little fast, but yeah, tributing and then searching the Snake, and then we obviously take pot. So we are in a fantastic spot. We're going to get 3 cards on our turn, 1 for the turn, and then pot. So we draw Thunder Dragon. We already had Light and Dark before. We use our pot, and his Storm is gone. We should be setting both. Yes. I think you take it, and in the end phase, you just call back the Tribe. We decide not to go that route. We try to bring out the Sork. He instantly solemns it, and then now you take out the Tribe, and you pitch, and you attack. The reason why you attack it, even though you know it's Serpent, is so he doesn't tribute and have to crash it. Now we know he has a Serpent set. We hit Upstart, not the best draw in this spot. Reaper is a good one, but again, we have Torrent set, so it's kind of brutal if we have to Torrent our own board. Yes, and he, Prio, we tried to Torrent, and he lets it go through, not using his Solemn. I believe that's probably correct, because if I had Snatch, he had, like, no answer to it, and he's getting a plus already from this. And we should be setting the Reaper. He tributes and attacks, keeping the Tribe in hand, setting it up for, like, a Serp play. And in this spot, I think you have to summon the Kaiku and challenge that card. Which is what we do, gets met with a Solemn, and this is this game over. Nice. We set the Sangan there, we get a little bit more time, but I don't see a world where you don't go and challenge that card. You know, he did let a Sork go through, and one of his Regeki breaks is in the graveyard, as well as Ring, so it could easily just be like, you know, bluff of some sort. Let's see what we got. Beautiful hand. Should just be using pot, of course. In this spot, I actually think setting Faith is our best option, just because of already having a Light in the graveyard. Let's see what we decide to do. We go to Train. That's okay, but I mean, if the Faith ended up resolving, it'd just be game over probably. And he just goes DD Warrior Lady. We do ring it. This is an aggressive route. Could just let it die, but I mean, it is DD Warrior Lady. It's kind of an annoying card to get over. And this resolves. Go to attack. And I think now you set the Faith pretty comfortably. And due to hand limit, you can set the Torrent, but you know, there's literally nothing you're torrenting. He goes Dawn in this spot. When he does this and chooses to Rhoda A for a Dark and B not attack my set, it's got to be very obvious that he has a Chaos monster in hand. When he did do this, I was like, okay, he has to have Chaos. This does not make sense to do this and not have Chaos. So we flip. That's good. This will be targeting pot. This already cashed in for a Pot of Greed, and this already cashed in for a draw. I think you summon Breaker. And he torrents. We're so okay with that trade. You do discard here for hand limit, because these dragons are just... I know it's tempting to set another card, but we can't afford to be stormed for 2 for 1. So pitching and keeping the book is fine. I think you do, just because of how Torrent works. Like if let's say I eat the damage and I try to bring out Kaiku and crash. You could do that, or I could bring out BLS and try. I think that you do Torrent it. And it's very unfortunate because he does have the BLS follow-up. So we knew that he had Chaos, but we have our own Chaos for this. Torrenting here ended up costing us more life, similar to what I said in the previous match where, like, the tomato, if you use your Mirror Force on a tomato, it's kind of like, okay, you know, we save 1,400 at the time, but we actually take more damage because we don't have Mirror Force in the future. So this was like a prime example of the hard punish, and the punish is Trap Dust Shoot, because on our turn, we are going to lose our BLS. We just unfortunately have to set, and he knows all of our cards. This is an obvious banish. He goes to attack us. We got to take the damage, of course, and he sets Snatch. On our turn, we rip Charity, which is just awesome. He knows we have Book, right? The pitch is Delinquent and Spy. Here, we should be going to attack the Tribe. He lets that go through. Why wouldn't he? It doesn't matter. We bring out the Sork, try to banish it. We have to chain Book, or else we just lose. And we have to set Wing Blast as well. Have to Wing Blast the BLS. That's kind of like the one time where, like, you know, it shows Wing Blast really flexes over Regeki Break. And yes, we did get very lucky on our turn to kind of get ourselves in a situation like this, because we don't know that he has Snatch Steal set yet. So we know he's dead drawing BLS on his turn. Nothing we can do to stop this. Gotta take the damage. And we gain 1,000 on our turn. We should be setting the Wing Blast, makes no difference. Goes to declare an attack, and this is now interesting. What do? I think the play is clearly you call of the Haunted and target Sengan. It minimizes the amount of damage you take. The Sork cannot banish anymore, nor can it change battle position. And we get to search our deck and fuel our Wing Blast. So let's see what he decides to do here. And he asks, you know, can I use the Sork effect and turn it to defense? I'm like, no, can't. And goes, it's stuck, which is just like kind of Yu-Gi-Oh rules. And in this spot, what do you search? I think the play is you search Night Assailant. This is a cool opportunity. We know his hand is BLS. We don't know what this card is. DD Warrior Lady is gone, and he has no light or dark engrave, so even if you kill this, you're not going to give him both light and dark. I think here in the end phase, you want to draw back your Sork. You pitch Night Assailant and take back a flip. I think taking back Magician of Faith is proper, so we should be in end phase. Night Assailant target the Sork. We take back Spy. I guess you could take back Spy too. It's a little aggressive. And its protection, we are low. So maybe it is better than Faith. Obviously attacking this card, and we're back in the driver's seat. He does top deck a light. Thank God that Exiled Force is not a dark monster, because we'd be back again at the same situation of answering a BLS. And we're in a really good situation on our turn because we have 4,700 presented, and now this is his game. So we snuck away with this one, but the only really good play that we made was the call, and we opened Full Trinity. So again, Nano played very well in this one. The Trap Dust Shoot was the killer card. We're lucky, very lucky to win this match and move up on the scoreboard. Let's see if we play better in future episodes. Thank you for watching, and see you at episode 4.